No, you don't have forever. You live on borrowed time. You are not an earthly person having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual person having an earthly experience. You are passing through, and this world is passing away. And I want to teach you out of the scriptures and convince you of this reality. Jesus is coming soon. I had somebody talk to me after service. They said, Pastor, I've been in church full time every Sunday the last 15 years. I have never heard a message on the return of Christ on a Sunday morning, ever, not once. I want to let you know that this message was the central obsession of the church fathers. It was written about by people like Eusebius. It was taught on by people like Augustine. It was authored by people like the Apostle Paul and the Apostle John. It was taught by Jesus in his parables. It was prophesied by Ezekiel. It was prophesied by Isaiah. It was taught by Jesus in Matthew 24 and Matthew 25 and Luke 21. Over and over and over and over and over again. Jesus communicated to his disciples and by proxy communicated to all who would follow him that although I am seated at the right hand of the Father, my return is imminent. And friend, if they lived in the last days 2,000 years ago, then I would humbly submit to you that not only are we in the last days, but we are in the last hour. And Jesus is returning soon. I know that we don't like to talk about it because we have been so discipled by enlightenment that when it doesn't make sense on paper, we rather not talk about it because it makes us look crazy. Friend, the resurrection can't be explained, but it will explain you. We are people who have been crucified with Christ and raised to new life. This is the hope of the gospel, that death no longer has the final say in your life. For to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And one day you will have a physical, literal resurrection by which your body gets out of a grave. It is transformed into his image and likeness. You see the one who you pierced. You see the nail prints in his hands. You see the hole in his side, the nail prints in his feet. You see the one that we wounded resurrected, and you live with him forever. That is the reality of what it means to be a Christian. It's not make-believe. It's not science fiction. It's not Star Trek. It's not a bad Left Behind movie with Nicolas Cage. It is the reality of Scripture. Jesus is coming soon. It's not just a make-believe. It's not just a hope so. It's not just a maybe if God's in a good mood. No, it is the promise of Scripture. That's why the Bible calls it our blessed hope. See, when you're anchored in eternity, it helps you manage the middle because you know the master is returning soon. Isn't that the parable of the wise servant versus the foolish servant? One stewards their talent, the other wastes it. The one who stewards his talent well stewards it because he knows the master is returning soon. See, when you have a theology that places Jesus at the center of everything and convinces you of his soon return, it makes you a wise steward of the borrowed time that you've got left. No, friend, you live on borrowed time. And with the sound of a trumpet blast, Christ will descend. And his descent will be so powerful that it literally shifts the landscape and for a final time breaks the curse of death over earth. The seas will give up their lost. The graves will open up and dead men and women will walk around. And those of us who are alive, the Apostle Paul says, will be caught up in the air with him. And I know what you're thinking. You've seen all the movies of all of a sudden just a pile of clothes laying on the floor and a body disappeared and it kind of looks like a bad CGI, a bad sci-fi effect. And look, I don't know how it's going to look or how it's going to work. I just want to be ready for when the day arrives. Because Scripture says this, be watchful, be hopeful, and pray, for his return is soon. Friend, it's imminent. It's not a maybe.